Hey guys, so I'm just going to show you how to model the tutorial I did called Blender 2.5 tutorial, texturing and materials. Someone, info channel, asked me to make a tutorial on that, so I figured why not. It's going to be a little different now because I returned my laptop to the store. It was acting glitchy, and I'm actually going to save up to buy a better laptop for Blender, and so I'm using my desktop. It's not that good, so I won't be making very complex scenes. So let's get started. Let's hit X and delete that default cube. Just rearrange some stuff. Shift A and add a plane. 7 to go into top view. Tab into edit mode. And click on edge select mode. And this is going to be the floor. So I'm just going to actually hit A to select all and scale that out. The landing, if you saw my previous tutorial, you'll know what I mean. I just grabbed the arrow and pulled, and Control R to add a loop cut right in the middle, and then right click to leave it in the exact middle. So I'm going to right click on this line right here, and I'm going to Control Z to undo that. Just extrude that along the X, and now I'm going to shift right click on all three of these, hit 1 to go into top view, and hit E to extrude along the Z axis. I'm going to hit 5 to go into ortho view just so I see how tall I'm making them. I don't think it needs to be very tall. There you go. I'm going to right click, hit 7, and then extrude this outwards. I'm going to hit 1 and extrude this up 2, so E and Z. And I just want to make it to be the same length as this right here. There you go. I'm actually going to go into face select mode and then right click on this wall, and I'm going to take it out. There we go. So that way I can go back into edge select mode, right click on this edge, hit 7 and 5. There we go. And I'm going to I don't know what that application is. I'm going to extrude this out just a little bit. This is going to be our little island. Again, if you watched my other tutorial, you know what I'm talking about. And it seems like I extruded this one out too much, or maybe this isn't far out enough, so I'm just going to grab this back. I'm not extruding it, I'm just moving the whole edge. That way I don't have any unnecessary vertices that, I don't need. Alright, so now I'm going to make the stairs. I'm a little shaky on this type. I'm not used to working like this, so I might be a little slow. Alright, so now I'm going to hit 7. No, I'm going to hit 1. Sorry. Control 1 so I can actually see this, and I'm going to hit E and Z, extrude that down a bit, and then E and X, and there's my step. I'm actually going to, you'll see what I'll do in a minute. Alright, now we can start. Oh, it's raining outside. It's a thunderstorm. Now we can start, let's see. Let's go into face select mode, and I'm going to shift right click on all of the faces that are supposed to be my walls, namely these. I'm going to hit P and by selection. That way it's a whole new object, so I'm going to tab out and then right click on my walls. I'm going to name it. This helps if you're doing a complex scene, which I'm not, but it's still a good habit to get into. Tab back in, and then once again shift right click on my two stairs, and P and by selection. And this will also assure that I don't add the array modifier to the whole plane. And that's going to be floor. Oh, and you can rename these by hitting Control left click. You can rename it, so that's pretty handy to know. Now let's add the array modifier to our floor. So with the floor selected, let's go into the modifiers tab and add a array. And we're going to make some changes. It's going to be -1 on the X, so I can go in front, and -1 on the Z, so I can go down in a step fashion, just like that. I'm going to hit 0 to go into camera view, and I'm actually going to right click on my camera, hit G to grab, and position it a little bit better. Now I'm going to hit 0 to get out of that, right click on my stairs, and increase that count. We're not going to apply it yet because there's still some changes that we can do. But for right now, I'm going to actually right click on my floor, right click on this face, and E and extrude that up. See how that looks with my camera hitting 0. Alright, the stairs still need to be modified a little bit, so I'm going to tab into edit mode, control 1, there we go. And with this bottom face selected, I'm going to grab that up and probably in some, oops, let's go into edge select mode and bring that edge in some. There we go. Now we can actually see that those are stairs. So I'm going to apply the count until it goes off screen. And right click on the walls. Right click on this edge right here, this wall edge. Hit 0 to go into camera view. Extrude that along the X until it goes off frame. Same thing with this bottom one. Hit E and X. Whoops. And Z I mean. And it looks really ugly out here, but if you were actually going to make a whole house or want to make it like an animation, you'll obviously have to clean it up a little bit. Since I'm just doing it for this one hallway, I'm not going to worry about that. Alright, so now let's go into face select mode and right click on this wall. This is going to be a door. And I'm going to hit P and by selection and rename that door. Alright, let's tab out, see what I can do. Alright, let's work with our island. I'm going to hit 1. I'm going to actually hit 7. I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate and then hit S to scroll that out. Whoops. There we go. That way we have sort of a lip going on. Now I'm going to go into edge select mode and I'm going to select these two opposite edges. Hit S for scroll and Y. That way I can make them be an exact length. And these are a little bit too wide. So I'm going to hit S and X. Just like that. And I'm going to hit face select mode. Right click on that face. I'm going to hit 1. And I'm going to hit E and extrude that upwards. And then S and then scroll that in some. Hit 7. And now we need to make the same arrangement as we did for that. S and Y. And maybe a little bit more here. Oops. S and X. Tab out. And now we have a nice trimming going on there. Let's see what else I can do right now. Let's work on the door. So now I'm going to actually shift right click on everything but the door. Hit H to hide it, so I only have to work with the door. Now let's tab into edit mode. Add 2 loop cuts. Go into the scale transformer mode so we can drag these out. Let's hit 1. Oops, 3. And these are going to be our trimming. It's going to be our trimming. So going to edge face select mode, shift right click on these two, P by selection, and trimming underscore door. And I want to do the same thing with those walls. Let's see where it went. Well, I'll find it later. Alright, so now we can right click on our trimming, and I'm only going to apply changes to this one because this one's going to be off camera. Let's see if you can see here. Yep, this is the only one that's going to be on camera, so I'm not going to worry about this one. If you did want to make the changes to this one, just shift to D and get rid of this one, this face. Alright, so now let's get started. I'm going to add, let's see, let's actually hit 7 and extrude this outward because trimming has depth, volume. And now let's add loop cuts. How many loop cuts do I want? Let's see. Yeah, 2 these. Well, now let's add another loop cut on either side and drag them fairly close. I'm going to go to 7 so I can see what I'm doing. I want it to be the same length. Alright, so now I'm going to click on these 2 edges. I'm going to hit 7, go back into my transform widget, and bring these back. And now let's hit 0. Tab out. If we were to render this, hitting F12. Oops, I forgot something, my bad. Hit Alt H to unhide these. And the reason it wasn't rendering is because my lights is hidden back here. So with that clicked, I'm going to go back into camera and hit G for grab, bring it, Shift D, and duplicate it on this side too. You don't want it to be in camera because that'll create like a ball glare, like sort of a ball-like glare, and we don't want that. Alright, and as you can see here, from the angle that we have, it gives our trimming an illusion of, well, good trimming. But you can see it's a little too wide. So what I'm going to do is click on the trimming, hit 7, and let's actually bring the origin point back to the trimming. Shift Control Alt C, origin to geometry. There we go. And now I'm going to S and Y so I can snap it in. And hit 7. Bring it back over. Right click on the door, hit S and Y again. And also bring the center point back to the door. I'm just going to do that until I see it's appropriately fixed. And you can see this trimming right here is all the way over here, which it doesn't have to be. Since it's off camera, I'm not going to worry about it, but I'll just fix it right now. I'm going to tab into edit mode, right click on an edge, Control L will select all of it, and I'm able to just drag that back to the door. Just like that. It's all good. Alright, now that we have that trimming down, let's create the trimming for the stairs. So now I'm going to hit Control 1 to go into the back view, and Z so I can see where my stairs are. And I'm actually going to right click on my wall, tab into edit mode, face select mode, right click on this face, Shift D, and then S, Y. So we can scroll along the Z, hit P and by selection. Alright, so now let's hit Control 1 to get back into that view. Whoops, Control 1. Computer's a little sticky. S and X so I can scroll that in. And I'm just going to center that geometry once more. Shift Control Alt C. Now I'm going to rotate it. Whoops, looks like Blender's acting up. There we go. Hit R to rotate and grab that so that the point is right at this top step. Well, this is the top step right here, technically. So I'm going to bring that up a little more. And you want to rotate it so it's perfectly with the stairs. Perfectly aligned with the stairs. I'm going to hit 7, and I'm going to hit E, well, tab in edit mode, then hit E to give it some depth. Hit A to select all and bring it in through the wall. Or hit Z, now we have our nice trimming, but it still needs to move some, so I'm going to actually right click on this face, hit Control 1, oops, Control 1, I can rotate that until it's about straight. There we go. And then you can extrude that out back. Hit 0. Let's see how that looks. Tab out. And that looks pretty good. Just need maybe a little bit more into the wall. Now let's add a subsurf modifier, which makes it look very skewed. We can fix that. Control 1. With some well-placed loop cuts, Control R. Not all the way, but quite there. Not all the way to the edge, but almost there. All the way down. Right in the middle. and then one, see, Control 0, see how that looks. Just the 0, my bad. One right in the middle. And I think that looks really good for a stairs trimming anyways. Alright, so now that we have that done, let's just render this really quick, see how that looks. And for some reason, sometimes it only renders what new portions we have, and it doesn't do that black thing. I think maybe it's just because of my computer. It's not very good. And this is still a little wide, but you can still scale that down and move it just like I showed you. So now let's make the railing, which is fairly easy. Control 1. Now, the only thing you have to make sure is that it's at the same angle as the trimming, so it doesn't look skewed. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Shift S, cursor to selected, then Shift A and add a cylinder. Let's knock those vertices down to 8. I think should do it. And now let's hit S and Shift Z. S and Shift Z. No, that's, well, yeah. You want to scale that down a lot. And then hit S and Z. Scale it on the Z axis. Let's hit 7 to see how fat that is. And I think that'll be good. So now let's hit Control 1 again and rotate that. Grab that along the Z. And you can see it's not perfectly aligned, so that's just what you want to do. Let's hit 0. You want to make sure that's all the way through the wall. And S to scale it. Z. No. Let's tab into edit mode. Hit 7. Hit A to deselect. B for your box select tool. And then hit 0. And hit S to scale that along Z 2 times. No. Let's see. Oops. S. Z. There we go. Oh, I didn't select. Did I? It's still through the wall. Huh. It's at 7. You don't want it to be too big. Just like that. There you go. And now let's create this trimming. But right now I'm just gonna scale that in. And Y. Make it really thin. Move it back into place. Tab. Grab that over. Tab out. Click on the door and drag that. And then tab in to edit mode with the door. Edge select mode, right click on that edge and move that out. Actually, there is a wall behind the island. This is modeled after my own hallway, so I would know. So that's what we're doing. Now let's render that. And we can see our railing coming in here. You can add a subsurf modifier to that as well. And here we have a nice thin trimming. Maybe too thin, but you know, you can change that. And let's create the trimming down here. So tab into edit mode, face select mode. Let's hit 1. Same thing like we did with that one. Shift D along, scale along Z. So S, Z. Then grab that down. And P by selection. The reason we're doing that is because let me do this quickly. Well, in my other tutorial, we're going to be working a lot with the materials, and so it's easier to have everything split up right now than to do it then. I'm going to hit Z so I can actually see where it is. I'm going to tab into edit mode and hit E to extrude it out. 0 and Z again. Maybe bring it back in a little. And of course add a subsurf modifier. Hit 1 so we can clean that up. Loop cut almost all the way. Another loop cut all the way since that's going to be touching the wall. One straight in the middle, and then one right across like that, also in the middle, just like that. Alright, so that about concludes it for this tutorial. We don't need a trimming right here because that's not in the frame. Then if you want a trimming, you can just follow the steps. You can clean it up some, and you can also add the frames, which is easy. Just make a cube, scroll that out, extrude it, and whatnot. Anyways, thanks for watching, and yeah, just thanks for watching. See if this is working. Nope, it froze up. Awesome.